What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down a great wide receiver football IQ quiz to test your knowledge of the position. So I hope this video helps you guys out. Hope it could teach you a few new things. But also, fellas, if you are a wide receiver and would like daily gym and on-field workouts that you guys can do completely mapped out with the exact sets and reps to follow, check out that very first link in the description below for our ultimate 8-week wide receiver workout plan. What you'll get access to is over 500 plus drills and gym exercises broken down for a total of 2 months. We give you the exact sets and reps and an example of each drill. So check out that very first link in the description below if you're interested and want to improve your skills this off season. Let's get started with this video. So if you're not familiar with our quiz style videos, how it's going to go is I'm going to show you guys a pre-snap look. I'm going to ask you a series of questions about the pre-snap look, give you a chance to pause the video and answer the questions, and then I'll go ahead and break it down. Okay, so now first example here is how would you guys run? So I'm not going to give you the coverage. I'm not going to give you the leverage. We're going to talk about that in a second. How would you guys run a 15-yard out route? So a 15-yard deep out route versus this specific type of coverage. So again, how would you guys run a 15-yard out route versus this coverage? So you guys can go ahead and pause the video and think about your answers. So go ahead and pause the video. All right, let's break this thing down. So coming up to the line of scrimmage as a wide receiver, there are 3 specific things that you need to identify every single time you line up. And again, being able to identify these things comes from getting a ton of reps. We get a lot of questions about, hey coach, I know all this information, but I struggle to have the confidence or I struggle to implement it in a live game scenario. And fellas, that comes from seeing it a bunch of times. That comes from a million mental reps and thousands and thousands of physical reps to get this habit down to a T. So the first thing you have to be able to identify is the DB's leverage. That tells you everything about what he is trying to accomplish. So you have 3 types of leverage. You have outside leverage, head up, or inside leverage, right? So in this specific case, this DB is lined up outside shade, which means that he has outside leverage. He's trying to prevent the outside route. That's what his leverage means. So he's trying to stop the 15-yard out, the corner, the comeback, the fade, and lo and behold, we have to run a 15-yard out route. So now we want to see how close or how far he is. He's in like a catch technique off man scenario where he's about 5 yards away. So he's outside shade, 5 yards away. And the last thing that you want to identify, again, it's about leverage, how close or how far he is, and then the type of coverage. That one's easy because it's one-on-ones. It's obviously man, but when he's squared up looking at us, that's how we know it's man. So if you guys said with this route that you would want to attack his leverage for 5, try to widen him and close the space and take an inside release, that would be correct. And I'm going to explain why. So let's play this full speed. So this wide receiver comes off, attacks the DB, takes the inside release, gives a move at the break, and you see the amount of space he gives his quarterback to lead him open. That is what you guys want to try to do. So DB's outside shade for a reason, like we said. He's trying to prevent the outside route. So with my release, I don't want to just be that guy that tries to force the outside release, number one, because that's his whole responsibility. Do not give up the outside. So a lot of wide receivers are uncomfortable taking an inside release on an outside breaking route, like an out route, like a corner route, because they think, well, what if this DB is right on my hip and I'm not able to stack him? Because in every single scenario against man coverage, we want to try to stack a DB. That's where you get over the top of him. And again, sometimes we may not be able to get directly over the top of him, so we have to manage. We have to be able to react as a receiver. However, sometimes we do get it, but it's way better having a little bit more extra time at the break than forcing this outside release and letting this DB wall you. Because I'll tell you this right now, if you try to force this, he's going to get hands right on your hip, squeeze you to that side, then when you break to that out route, you're going to have maybe less than 5 yards for that QB. That is not enough space for him, especially against man coverage when you have a DB who could undercut the route. So we have to attack him. Just make him think that we are going to the outside. It doesn't need to be this crazy move where you get this DB to break his ankles. We just have to hold him there. We just have to keep him honest to the outside. So when I take that inside release, I got space to operate. So now, again, like we said, this wide receiver was able to stack over the top. And if that's what you guys said to do, that would be correct. But like we said, what if we're not able to stack over the top? And that's why so many guys are uncomfortable taking that inside release. Because if this DB's right on your hip, you don't want to obviously just run way around and get forced all the way to the back of the end zone because that's just flat out slow. You got to have a plan. We got to be able to react. The receiver position is a lot about having a plan off the line of scrimmage, having a plan with your route, but also sometimes if a DB throws a monkey wrench into it, we have to be able to react. So if this DB is right on my hip, we could just take this outside arm, this outside hand, and swap by on this DB's inside shoulder, inside hip, and slip under him. But at the end of the day, we still have all that green green grass for the QB to lead us. You got to give him space to lead you fellas on any outside breaking route. We call it running a quarterback friendly route. So if that's what you guys said, if you guys said close space, fake inside, take it outside release, that would be wrong. Because again, a disciplined DB is not going to give up that outside release in this coverage. If you said you want to attack him in close space, that's the most important thing, and take the inside release, that would be correct. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. Great job by that wide receiver closing space and then obviously selling that move with that rocker step. Okay. So now, this next example, this is going to be a slant route. Now, I am going to kind of change up the pace of the type of questions that I normally ask you guys with these quiz type videos. So I'm going to play this clip full speed, and then I'm going to kind of break down the release a little bit, then ask you a question about this release. So he's going to be doing a variation of a diamond release on a slant. So he's got like this inside shade coverage a little bit, looks a lot like head up coverage, but let's watch what he does. So gives this move to the inside, diamond release, gets the DB to flip his hips, and then he runs a slant. So let's talk about it one more time. I'm going to play full speed one more time. So he works inside, diamond release to the outside, and then wins on that slant route. So when do you think, here's the question, when do you guys think you would use a release like this one? So when do you guys think situational, think coverage, think down and distance, think all of those things that tie into a specific situation? What situation would you guys use a release like this? Okay, so you guys go ahead and pause the video and think about your answer. So pause the video. All right, let's break this thing down. So if you guys said a later read, RPO, backside slant, that would be correct. Now, if you said anything other than that, like, maybe you want to use it when the DB's inside shade, so that's when you use a diamond release, and that would be correct. However, this takes way too long to use when the quarterback is just catching the snap, taking one step, and throwing a slant. Because there are many different types of any route, honestly, fellas. Like let's use, everybody understands a dig route, right? Like a 10-yard in. There are many different types of 10-yard ins. There's a 10-yard in where you're breaking and you're backside on the play. The quarterback is looking to the right, looking at his first read, second read, then you're the third read. So you can maybe take a little bit longer. Then there's a 10-yard in where you break and you're the first read and we got to go a little bit faster. Same idea with a slant. So when we were running a slant and we attack this guy inside, then we take 3 steps to the outside. If that quarterback is in quick game, the offensive line is in quick game pass protection where the quarterback is literally saying set go, taking one step and trying to fire, that just takes way too dang long. Again, the DB's entire goal, so what we broke his ankle, so what we got him to flip his hips to the fade. The whole goal of him being in press is to disrupt timing with the quarterback. So if I'm taking too long with my release, he did his job. So what if we got separation? We're already out of the play. So when you would want to use this is longer developing routes. And this is why it's important for wide receivers to understand the entire play concept, not just know that, okay, I have a slant on that play. Like if you're a wide receiver and it's an RPO, but you're running a slant, like an RPO is a run pass option. Quarterback is putting the ball in the running back's stomach, reading, seeing if an outside linebacker maybe crashes into the box and he's going to hit this slant right behind it. So if this DB comes down, it looks like man coverage, or maybe it's like a 2-man concept, or, maybe it's just like they put this corner on an island, he's manned up on you. This is when you could use that release because it's longer developing. The quarterback has to go through a whole play action fake. We don't want to get to that window too quickly. So, fellas, if that's what you guys said, RPO, later reads, like a backside in route, that would be correct. You never want to use this long of a release when it's a first read situation. So what could you use if it was a first read situation? How about just a straight up diamond release? You don't need to attack to the inside, then work outside. How about we just go straight to the outside for 3 hard steps, DB thinks fade, and then we slip back underneath. That still keeps that same 3-step slant timing, and we're not wasting a bunch of time with my feet. Let's play this again, full speed one more time. Great job by that wide receiver working inside and then breaking back out. But again, make sure we know the right situation for this. Okay, so now, next question that I want to talk about here is we're going to be having this press coverage, head-up press look, kind of shaded to the inside, I would say a little bit. So let's say it's inside shade press. I want to ask you guys, how would you run a whip route? So a whip route is where you break to a slant, put the brakes on, and then whip back to the sideline, and you keep your chest and your hips facing that line of scrimmage the entire time. It's not like a slant out where you turn your back. You're staying square to the line of scrimmage the whole time. I know most of you know that. I just want to make sure I clear it up for those of you that don't, so you don't get confused. So how would you guys run a whip route versus this inside shade press coverage DB? So you guys can go ahead and pause the video and think about your answer. So pause the video. All right, let's break this thing down. So a whip route. Whip route is built off of, and I said it when I was explaining that route, a whip route is built off of a slant. So anytime, fellas, that you guys have a double move route, I would consider a whip a double move. I would also consider a slant and go a double move, a post corner, and out and up. All of those are all double moves, including the whip route. So anytime that we have to run a double move and that DB comes down and shows us that press coverage look, we want to make it look, obviously like on a double move, what are we trying to do with the first move? We're trying to make it look exactly the same to like a regular out route or a regular slant or whatever route we're trying to sell. So when we have press coverage, we have to make it look exactly like how I would run the first original route versus press. So against inside shade press coverage, how would you run a slant? We just talked about it. You would do a diamond release. You'd take 3 hard steps to the outside. DB flips. We slip under. And then maybe we whip back out. We want to make it look the same. That's how wide receivers are unpredictable. They make their routes look the same. So let's play this full speed. Let's watch what he does. So he attacks to the outside, slips underneath, then whips it back out. And you see the amount of separation that he is able to get on this. Fellas, that is the key. Because again, DBs are smart. If you guys run your whip route a certain way and you run your slant route a certain way and it's different, a DB is going to be able to pick up on that, especially if you guys run this whip route a lot or you guys run a sluggo a lot. Like let's use a slant and go, for example. Let's say whenever you have to run a slant versus inside shade press, you make it look like a speed release fade. You take those 3 hard steps, DB flips, and you slip under and try to win on the slant. Now, every time you run a sluggo, you just force the inside release and cut across the DB's face. When he sees that, he's not going to be expecting the slant. When he sees you just try to cut across his face, he's probably going to be thinking sluggo because DBs are smart. Guys, DBs guess pretty much on every single snap. They like to think they know what we're doing, but at the end of the day, they don't. They're playing a guessing game. But some DBs are better at guessing than others because they've studied film. They know how wide receivers run routes. They know our tendencies. So you have to make your routes look the exact same. And that's what this wide receiver does here. He takes off, takes the diamond release to the outside. DB flips. We slip underneath on a slant. He's thinking, oh crap, I got beat. He's trying to overcommit. Then we put the brakes on, sit down, and get in and out of this route. That is a textbook whip route versus that inside shade press coverage look. So let's go ahead and play this again full speed one more time. Great job making it look exactly like a slant. If that's what you guys said, that would be 100% correct. All right, fellas, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to leave those in the comment section below. Always appreciate the feedback. It's always great to hear from you guys. And again, fellas, if you would like our 8-week wide receiver gym and on-field workout schedule, everything wide receivers should be doing in the gym and on the field, check out that very first link in the description below. We'd love to get you on that. I'll see you guys next time.